Great to see you back again. Great to see you back. We were just talking off camera, weren't we, about the way that those on the outside are trying to split up the Patriots and divide the Patriots. And thank God there are enough Patriots to try and divide up. You know, when we started this, there wasn't that many. So now there's a lot more. And we have been infiltrated for sure by people pretending to be patriots. I've called them plastic patriots. Yes. But we're starting to see now. And I think one of the most important things, Chaz, that I've learned on this journey is I hear many different views from many different people. And there's only one person that has the answer. And that's God.
Amen.
So I've learned on this journey that when I hear differences of opinion, I simply get on my knees and ask God to guide me to the right person. And a meditation is where I get the answers. Prayer is where I ask the question. Meditation is God leads me in a way. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. I've had plenty of misinformation about me. And there's plenty about every single person out there. And I was speaking to Simon Parks this morning. He's been under attack, and we're under huge attack because we are in a war.
Yes.
We're in a war between good and evil, and the only way that evil can actually even attempt to attack good is by infiltrating and pretending they're good.
100%. 100%. You know, there's, as I was telling you off camera, and we were talking about this, even talking about, let's say, Flynn and Lin Wood, for instance, and others and their associates and things of that nature. That's been here lately. A lot of things that there was a situation, and I can't speak for Lin Wood himself, obviously, but there were certain actions that Lin felt from Flynn that showed maybe Flynn's true colors to him, to Lin, in a certain situation, in other situations that have occurred as well. So quickly and so fast, things can be misconstrued and turn into a huge, huge negative. Now, obviously, I know that you have tremendous respect for Flynn. I know that you communicate with Flynn daily, and we're just trying to get everybody to work together. I know that Lin has invited Flynn on a live to some degree to kind of talk out the differences and things of that nature. I don't know if there has been any type of responses at that point. But from your point of view, Charlie, what's your thoughts on all of this? And I'll interject wherever I can.
Well, I don't speak to Flynn on a daily basis, and I speak to people around him on a regular basis. But I go back to General Flynn as a man. And we start from when he was 14 years old and he fell in love with a girl at school. And he's spent his whole entire life with the same woman and been, as far as I'm aware, totally faithful to his wife, and has a wonderful family. He's a God-loving man. He's a God-fearing man. He's also a military general. Now, to be a military general, they think in a completely different way to you and I, Chaz, because they have to win things. They have to win wars. So they have to use certain tactics to do so. And we're currently in the Third World War, which is a five-dimensional game of chess. So you're not just talking about a very good general, you're talking about a general who thinks in a completely different plane than what I do. And we're seeing certain things. If I go back 25, 30 years ago, I did something on a similar vein where I fell out visually with a competitor. But we were the best of friends. We played golf together and we discussed it behind the scenes. Let's fall out in public and let's have a slanging match to see who the real people are. And the minute this happened with Lin Wood, who I also believe is a God-fearing man, the one thing I will not get into is I will not get into putting down any patriot. of any kind, because this is what the deep state want us to do. I would rather not talk about people that I think have got it wrong, and just focus on the people that think it's right. Now, you and I have a difference of opinion, so I can talk of the positives on my side, you can talk of the positives on your side, and then we can try and get clarity. Yeah. But I think it's fair for me to lay out the ground rules to say it wouldn't surprise me at all in the art of war if these two have probably had a discussion, even if not face to face through God, to say, fine, let's flush out and see which side, because at the end of the day, it's not about whether you're on Flynn's side or Lin Wood's side. It's whether you're on God's side or Satan's side. It's that simple.
Amen. 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, with the distractions that we're already dealing with, we've already got enough to deal with distractions. Yeah. Trying to understand how this plays out. Of course, we know we've won. You're seeing it across the board. I got to ask your take on this. Were you jumping up and down a little bit when you saw mainstream media kind of flipping a little bit, and you could see where things are starting now to come out? Now, Warren was telling me over here at PPN, he said that all the media had received some type of packet of some sort that was pretty much slapping on the hand saying, hey, this is your only warning that you're going to get. You better start reporting the truth. There you go. And to my understanding, I guess that was the military that had delivered that packet. Do you have any details on that? Do you know the inner workings of that? I've just heard generalities, but there's obviously something has taken place. They have received something or been alerted to something that has totally flipped the script again.
Well, that's half of it. Half of it is that they've been given a warning. And the other half of it is they know that Truth Social is on its way. And they know that if they don't start putting out the truth, then, the clue is in the name, Truth Social. For those people who understand history, and a lot of people have never been educated about it, when the truth started coming out in Russia, the Soviet Union, the newspaper was called Pravda. Pravda translates into truth, the word truth. And it's amazing how quickly people wake up to it, that they've carried on their propaganda. They thought they'd get away with it. They're realizing now they have not got away with it. Canada, I'm so proud of Canada. Between 30 and 50,000 truckers.
Yes.
And a huge amount of people, zero media coverage, zero. Because Castro's boys made sure that nobody knows anything about it.
Yep.
So, yep. And if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. So he's out there trying to stop it, but it will come back and then consume him because God won this.
Amen. Amen. And it's funny you bring that up. We were talking about that last night. We had Toronto on from the Blue Sacred Tent. They were on last night, and she's going to try to live stream it. But you're exactly right. It goes back to more of the same in that area. They're trying to keep it hidden. It's just like what they did here recently in DC. Against the mandates and everything. You had phenomenal doctors, phenomenal individuals, including individuals that actually created the bioweapon, okay, or the RN whatever NA or whatever nRNA. There you go. I'll say it right. There's so many syllables, Charlie, to all this.
But the one thing, just to give people a visual, what's happening right now is like a 100-year-old terracotta pot that's full of water, and it's leaking here, so they patch it up. It's leaking here, so they patch it up. Sooner or later, it's just about to go boom.
One thing, touching back on the whole Lin Wood thing, not necessarily with Lin, but when Lin was explaining to him, he said, listen, he said, this has got to be over here in the States by May because of midterms. It has to. There's several different directions this could go into. Obviously, we're going to have an old school if you want to call it a paper election, to have Trump officially in the public eye as the 19th president, so to speak, versus I guess if they want to say the 47th United States president here, which presidency here is going away, and it's going to be more or less the board of directors. A lot of people understand that. But with that, we're seeing a dramatic shift in the right direction. We've always seen, especially truthers, especially people that are already awakened. Okay. We see it, you see it all day long. I'm seeing it, people that are plugging in with you, plugging in with us, and getting educated, so to speak. I know we all have come to you, Charlie, because you created a majority of this movement and leading people in this direction. I know PPN wouldn't be existent if it wasn't for you, just to be real. And we're very grateful with your due diligence and research. But now, all of a sudden, Wisconsin is taking back their electoral votes. And we had even though, yes, they still got to take it for another vote to be able to full-fledged be done with Wisconsin. But man, when they are suppressing the crap out of this, like you wouldn't believe. And we're pushing it pretty hard. Imagine what that's going to do. I know for us here in the States, that's going to tremendously wake up people. But is it, to our knowledge, I think it's one state that has to decertify, and all of a sudden everything just starts cascading down, and you'll really see military force, especially in the United States anyway.
Yeah, once one does it, they'll all do it. It's a bit like the first woman that came out and said she'd been interfered with by Prince Andrew. Then there was a whole team of them come out. It's how it works. The system works that way. That once one has the bottle to say it, then they all come out, and it will happen with this. And they're all being tormented. But we have to understand that the deep state, the cabal, etc., they know the consequence of failure. This is why they're doing everything they can to divide the patriots, to stop it getting into mainstream media, to stop everything coming out, because they know they'll do everything they can until the last moment, the very last moment, because they know their consequences. A lot of them will be hung publicly, or executed publicly, and it's long overdue.
100%. A lot of talk's been about the law of war manual here lately.
Yes.
Boy, does that match up perfectly for what's happening.
Yes.
365 days, a full year, and look what's happened now since that's been enacted. And obviously we were able to keep the UN away from being able to interfere up to this point, Trump and the military. I think that's absolutely fabulous that this is finally happening to a degree to where, people are saying in the chat, wakey, wakey. Exactly. Everybody is waking up right now. Then you've got the push for the war with Russia and Ukraine and part of the big overall show. Now, do you feel in your heart, Charlie, that's going to be, in fact, do you feel like that's going to be the tremendous false flag? Do you think that's the nuclear false flag that we've been talking about? Or do you feel potentially something can come out of left field, which only God knows, and we both know that?
I think with Russia, Ukraine, you need to understand what's happened there. So that people know, so your audience know, that Ukraine was taken illegally, a bit like the election in America, by George Soros and his minions. And they wanted to use it for child trafficking, for pedophilia, for everything else that's wrong. And just so the people of America know, this is where Biden's company's based, because they were protected by a corrupt group of people, politicians that were put in place by Soros. So him and Hunter Biden were totally protected by their group of people. And they rigged the election, and they've basically put the Ukraine into a state of desperation. They've absolutely ripped everything out of it, and the people are poor because of it. The mainstream media will tell you that Putin is going in there trying to invade it. Technically, they're right, but no, that's only a fraction of the truth. Putin is going in there to stop the child trafficking, stop the paedophilia, and stop everything that's evil there, and get a government in for the people, not for the Illuminati, the deep state, the cabal, which has been forced on them. So to take it back. So it will look in the mainstream media as if he's going in there causing a war. And it will be like a war because he's taking out the mafia. He's taking out the Khazarian mafia. And they're in Crimea, they're in Ukraine, they're in Kazakhstan. He's got them out of Russia because he can. So don't be misled by the lies, the bullshit on the media. If you see Putin going into Ukraine, let's hope the United Nations and NATO go into Ukraine as well, and try and take on Putin, because Putin will take them out as well. And it may well look in the public eye like a third world war. But I can assure you, this is for the liberation of the people of Ukraine. Forget the politicians, forget the lies that they're telling you. It's got nothing to do with that. This is all lies by the mainstream media. It's got everything to do with giving the Ukrainian people back their country. It's run by mafia dogs at the moment, horrible, evil bastards. I live in a place called Marbella in Spain. We have an area which is known as Millionaire's Playground, which is Puerto Banús. And most of the working girls there, the prostitutes there, come from that part of the world, the Eastern Bloc. These girls came here thinking the streets were paved with gold. The moment they arrived in Spain, their passports were taken off them. Some of them came as young as 14, out of care homes. They were handpicked, and they've been brought down here. And of course, they have no control. They can't escape. They can't do anything. And they have pimps that are evil. And this is all part of the deep state agenda. They are horrible, horrible people. That's what's being dismantled. And they have my 100% support.
The stories that, and I'm sure there's just millions and billions of stories that we'll probably never see the light of day of how horrific this has been for the children.
Sure.
And we hear, we'll hear it go in lulls and waves where we'll hear a lot about me, because dumbs are never ending. Yeah. I mean, that's a constant given of how entrenched the cabal and deep state and what they have done for, hundreds of years, thousands of years, something crazy, just of how entrenched it is. And just being able to have the opportunity to help as many children as we can out of this horrific situation joys my heart as well. What are you, in terms of quantum? I know you can't, I know everyone takes a shot at you, Charlie, okay, wanting to put you on the spot where you have to answer a question, and some questions you can answer, some you can't. Are you noticing anything different in quantum that caught you by surprise in terms of what you've seen and what you know is coming? Is there anything in particular that maybe you're like, that's kind of amazing? Because I got that kind of question on our platform. I was like, you know what? I'll ask you, if there's something that maybe caught you off guard, because I know it's hard to do because you've been entrenched with this for years. You've got your sources and also your NDAs. But is there anything that prevalently stands out that was a surprise for you through this whole process?
With the whole quantum system, I hear a lot of Americans saying we need to have serial numbered ballots. And I think that, to me, I think is very, very nice and very, very sweet. But when you know about the quantum voting system, you just go, this is so far ahead of that. I mean, you can't even go close to getting a duplicate number with the quantum voting system. But it's very, very nice that people are thinking accurately like that. But they're so far ahead of it. That's good. I think also the quantum educational system is something that is mega exciting, because a lot of our history, if not all of our history, has been made up. Is not what we think it is. On regard of the financial system, I think the exciting thing for me with the quantum financial system was to learn about the tokens that you have on there, that can have your house on a token, your car on a token, your boat on a token, your motorbike on a token, your plane on a token, and all the information of your car is on that token. So if Chaz wants to buy my car, I put the token into an escrow with Chaz. Chaz puts the money into the same escrow. You look at the details of the car, or both. We both get the chance to look and see if it's all real and make sure we're happy. Once it's happy, we both agree, put in a code, and they swap over. And everything is listed on that token. So the whole history of the vehicle, the whole history of a house, the whole history of everything is on that token. So it does away with all these ridiculous legal costs that you have to do for searches, for this, for that. Everything is there. So that's probably the most exciting thing for the future. I think for America, one of the most exciting things with quantum is moving away from being slaves to the banking system. The American banking system is archaic, to say the least. And you have corresponding banks, and you have further credit to banks, and you have it's all done to create confusion so they can utilize your money while justifying that it takes a week to transfer it, which it doesn't. It's just them making things difficult. So I think, yeah, being able to pay people quickly, easily, that's a very positive thing. The quantum system itself started operating in August 2020. It was working perfectly and has worked perfectly. It was interfaced with Starlink back in, that was about August, September 2021. So I had a full year of testing out there in space to make sure it worked properly without any hiccups. Then it was interfaced to Starlink. And then more recently, Starlink was tested alongside the quantum system to make sure it operated perfectly. And then they downloaded from Starlink, through Starlink, into the legacy fund, which was then to fund the banking system now. Now, there will be a transition period of a number of years. It could be anywhere between 1 and 10 years, where both systems will run in parallel, because there's a lot of things attached to the old system that need to be, and there's a lot of things that, I mean, there's so many moving parts. I think they thought at one stage they could do it a lot quicker, but then there's a realization that it will take time, but they'll run along side by side. The other thing is with the quantum system, we'll have Tesla phones with quantum technology, and that we'll have our digital wallets will be in our quantum phones, and our voting systems and our educational system will all be we'll have access to. So it will take time for people to learn how it all works, and to see. For me, it's so exciting, because anything like this, I love being a pioneer. I love being the first person to do things. So for me, it's the most exciting thing ever to see all of this happening, and being the guinea pig, although I wasn't the guinea pig for the jab.
Praise God.
Exactly.
Oh, Lord. Hey, speaking of the jab and the vaccine and the bioweapon, and did you see the newest video come out from James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, with children? It came out last night, if I'm not mistaken. You may have, it's brand new.
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh my goodness, you got to take a look at it, Charlie. I know that you like Jimmy, and he's really doing a good thing out there for the folks. But you see these children where they made horrible mistakes, and I mean, especially now. I know that in the UK and other countries, I've already experienced this, but it's horrific what we're seeing over here. And I had to deal with it firsthand. I have a 10-year-old son, and I was in court last week. And just for the testing, they gave me a court order. I had 24 hours to either comply or they would send me to jail. And that's why Lynn called me up I mean, it's nuts what's happening over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm dealing with it firsthand. A lot of people, a lot of the viewers, including your own, are dealing with this firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And just and saying, when is this going to be over? Mm-hmm. When will this madness stop? You know,
it'll only stop when the rest of the world stands up against tyranny. And I keep telling people that there's people that are standing up, but it needs more people to stand up against this tyranny, because as long as you bend over and take it up the backside, they'll continue to stick it up the backside.
Right. It has to completely stop. Something I thought was interesting too. I was reading about Joe Rogan got land blasted by a guy by the name of Neil Young. You obviously probably know who Neil Young is on that, but he said Neil Young told them either me or Rogan. And what did they pick? They said, well, we're going to take Rogan. Bye. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Joe's been a warrior for a long time. The one thing with Joe, he's well informed. He's provocative. There's a few of them. Dan Bongino's another one that's the same as Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro. There's a few, Charlie Kirk. There's a number of these guys out there that are asking the questions. And it's very much like when you were children and you've got something in your pocket you shouldn't have, and somebody says, what's in your pocket? They get very aggressive. As a child, I got very aggressive when I'd nicked an apple. I got caught nicking an apple. There's nothing in my pocket. Well, what's that big lump then? That's because you fight like a dog. And this is what we're seeing right now. So we know what we're talking about. We know what they're like. And of course, Joe Rogan is asking the questions, which let's get real about it. The mainstream journalists, the mainstream media are not. They're not asking the right questions on purpose. It's all being geared up to protect their own. But now people like you, me, and the rest of the team are asking these questions.
That brings up a very interesting point, because you know I'm fairly new to this. You're veteran. Like I said, you pioneered this, Charlie. Did you ever expect yourself to be in this situation, leading this charge, being a part of this global movement? Did you ever envision yourself being put in this? I mean, what has happened along this journey for you, Charlie, that it's taking you back? Or you wonder and you sit back because you got a beautiful family. You're constantly either anybody who's putting out the truth is going to have evil attacking them left and right. It's just like us doing this show right now. Okay, I'm doing it live on my end. You get the recording, you're gonna be putting it on your platform. Okay. It never fails me when all the trolls come out of the woodwork, because either they don't like me, or they don't like you, or anybody for that matter. But then they go to a degree to try to track you down and threaten you. To my knowledge, typically you're never going to be threatened. If it's your time to go, the Lord's going to make sure that everything follows through and it happens. Mm-hmm. And most likely you'll never know until you're at the pearly gates talking to St. Peter. Okay. Mm-hmm. But has there been anything along the way that has actually frightened you? Maybe. That's a kind of tough question. Is there anything that's really stretched you? Not to say you're a fearful man or anything like that, because we're all human. But what's your thoughts on that, and what's your experience thus far?
Thus far, for me, it was a calling. It was God calling me to do something. Not at any stage on this journey have I been scared or frightened by any of the threats. I've been disappointed. None more so than I was disappointed in my son, who decided to attack me. That was disappointing. It's one of those things. But the flip side of that is that my wife told me that she's so proud of what I've done. And she said, I always knew that you were a man that knew what you wanted and knew how to get it. And that's why I love you. And that counters any attacks that I ever get. When you have a wife who God gave you without a shadow of a doubt. God gave her to me to look after me and guide me. And yes, I tease her about the fact that she's 95% perfect and 5% terrorist. But she's a wonderful, wonderful human being. And she's brought everything. She's given me the strength to continue when not so much I've been attacked, but when I've been physically and mentally tired. You know, last night I finished just after midnight, and my first call was at 6 o'clock this morning with Melissa Redpill. And I have 4 interviews today. I've got a power box today, starting with you. In fact, Melissa Redpill started with her, then you. Now, directly after you, I've got General McInerney and Mary Fanning. And then after that, I've got Lee Dundas. So we've got a lot of very good people, but it's very because we've done 7 and 9 1-hour videos in a day before, and I tell you, by the end of it, you're absolutely knackered. But it's been exciting. That's the only part I find was the being very, very tired at times. And sometimes I've been on a show and somebody said to me, "You're falling asleep." and there are certain people that I do shows with, and I'll mention his name because I love him anyway. But Jason Q has so much intel that my brain at the end is going boom, 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 boom. I'm trying to absorb it. I'm trying to take it all in. But it's like a fountain of water in your face of intel. And at the end you go, wow. It's exciting. It never gets you down. It just tires you. It's very tiring, but look, it's the harvest time. So it's time to buckle down and work hard. And if I need a rest, I'm sure God will find me a moment to rest. He's very good like that. And he knows he never puts too much on us. Never. He gives us what we can handle. Sometimes we think we can't handle it, but no, it's done for a reason. So there's been nothing really I've had a few people knock at the door, which was not nice from a point of view of a bit of a surprise, but it's amazing the strength that comes from within when you connect to God and you stand there as God's warrior. It puts you on a different level to them, and you read them the rules and tell them where to go.
Absolutely. I tell you, a lot of people maybe that watch us doesn't understand. Even sometimes we put ourselves in harm's way. And sometimes, like for me, I was questioning, okay, why am I doing this? Because I'm tired of being lied to. Everyone has their own personal calling on this. And for me, I was in total disbelief of everything going on around me. And even though my best friend was Warren that got me involved doing this, and he'd been talking to me, he'd say, "Here's Charlie Ward," and he'd show me you, and I would look, and I would say, okay. Then I started listening to you, then I started listening to others, and I just started digging in, and I was like, this is a whole nother world it's kind of like the curtain was pulled back, and this is really what's going on. Actually, we have our event this weekend in Nashville. We got Pastor Greg Locke coming, Original Mark Z, Mike Penny, Angel Warrior Network. We've got a lot of those, but absolutely. I should have had my freaking guitar in here. I would have showed you. You probably would have liked it. I showed it off yesterday. It's got our logo and stuff. We're commemorating the event. We're going to miss you. We wish we could have worked this out where you could have been in Tennessee. That would have been.
I would have loved it. But there'll be time. There will be time because I shall do a tour of the United States of America, and I shall come and see you for sure.
Absolutely.
So it'll be the timing will be right for sure.
Well, we'll go ahead and start wrapping this thing up now, Charlie. I know you've got a packed and action day. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see you, Chaz.
Absolutely.
You're doing a cracking job.
Likewise, sir. Keep up the good work, and God bless you, Charlie.
And I got my bodyguard there. See.
Hey, hold up! Before we cut off, it's funny. You just pointed at that. Is that a monkey or a lion? I'm trying.
That's a monkey. Here. That was my Christmas present from Simon Parks.
Hey, so you're talking about monkeys. Last thing, did you hear about the 100 monkeys in Pennsylvania that were coming back from the CDC?
Yes.
Okay, I got to ask you this question. Is that part of the show? Do you think it's a distraction, or you think that's actually real? What's your thoughts?
Look, it's all a distraction, but I'm pretty sure that's the entire Biden family.
Charlie, never a dull moment with you, buddy.
Exactly. Cheers, Chaz.
Cheers to you. God bless you.